Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode of End of Days. We're talking about the signs of the hour and the trials and tribulations that will precede the coming of the hour. And we're talking about these from the ahadith of Sahih Muslim, or at least some of the ahadith of Sahih Muslim, in Kitab al-Fitani wa Ashrat al-Sa'ah, the book of tribulations and the signs of the approaching of the hour. And in the last hadith, we spoke about the army that will attack the Kaaba. And insha'Allah ta'ala, in this hadith, we are going to deal with a chapter which Al-Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala entitled Babu Nuzul Al-Fitani Kamawaqi' Al-Qatr. The chapter that the trials and tribulations will descend like the places where the rain falls. And this hadith is the hadith of Usama radiyallahu ta'ala an. أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أشرف على أطم من آطام المدينة. That the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam climbed atop of a battlement from the battlements of Medina. Al-Atam are battlements like fortresses and defensive positions and towers and such that defend the city. The Prophet ﷺ climbed on top of one of these battlements. ثم قال صلى الله عليه وسلم هل ترون ما أرى? Do you see what I see? He said to his companions, do you see what I see? إني لا أرى مواقع الفتن. Indeed, I see the places of trials and tribulations خلال بيوتكم كمواقع القطر. I see the trials and tribulations falling between your houses like the places where the raindrops will fall. And this hadith is really a terrifying hadith. And it has already happened, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best, that trials and tribulations and signs of the hour came and afflicted the people of Medina so much that just like when the rain falls, there is barely a piece of land that is not touched by the raindrop, then there was barely a piece of land in Medina that was not touched by trials and tribulations. There was barely a piece of land in Medina that was not touched by trials and tribulations. And so this hadith is first of all indicating to us the severity and the significance and the large number of trials that will befall this ummah. And the reason for this is so that we can stay away from them. One of the things that we benefit from the previous hadith that we talked about, the army that will attack the Kaaba, is that we keep away from trials and tribulations. Some brothers and sisters, unfortunately, and Allahul Musta'an, their methodology is that when they hear of a trial, or they hear of a sign from the signs of the hour, or a tribulation from the tribulations of the hour, they come and they rush to it, and they want to, take a selfie there, or they want to have a picture of them taken, or they want to hold a placard, or they want to run with the people who are doing whatever they are doing. And if we benefited anything from the hadith of the army that will attack the Kaaba, it is that when we hear of these trials and tribulations, we don't go to them. We don't rush out to them. We don't seek to involve ourselves in them. We keep as far away as we possibly can. And this is a theme that will be repeated in the early part of this series, inshallah, as we go through the ahadith, many of them dealing with the same thing. So when we hear that these trials are going to be so many, they will be like the raindrops falling, i.e. they will touch almost every land and every house. If it rains in your area, doesn't your house get wet? And your garden or your area outside of your house gets wet? Or the land outside of your house becomes wet? Is there anywhere except the most few of places that remain dry? Rather, all of these places get touched by the rain. And likewise, all of them will be touched by the trials and tribulations that will happen. And if this is the case with the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and Medina, which is the best of the places to live on this earth, then how about our places, in which many of us live in non-Muslim countries, where the fitna are even greater, where there is so much corruption and so much evil already going on, then if Medina will not be spared and Makkah will not be spared, then how about the rest of the world? Do you think that that will be spared? No, rather these trials and tribulations will be even greater. They will come in such large numbers like sheets of rain that are falling down. The water touches every single place. And this hadith, brothers and sisters, is about preparing ourselves for trials and tribulations. It's about getting ready for them, preparing our children for them. It's like a danger that you know is going to come. And subhanAllah, we know that it's going to come. We read that it's going to come. The Quran tells us it's going to come. In the surahs we read all the time, like Surah Al-Kahf. The Quran tells us that it's going to come, and yet we remain ignorant about it. We don't know what form it will take. We don't learn the ahadith about how to be saved from it. And so we end up putting ourselves into trials and tribulations, putting ourselves into difficulty. And most importantly, we must teach our children about these trials and tribulations. If they don't happen to us, then it's very, very likely that many of them will happen to those children, because we are really approaching the absolute edge of the cliff here. Allah Azza wa Jal knows how long before we fall off. But this ummah is very much approaching the edge. And this hadith answers a shubha. It answers a misconception that people have, that this ummah will be saved from trials and tribulations. And that is not the case. The Prophet ﷺ said, خِلَالَ بُيُوتِكُمْ, you companions, it will happen between your very houses. The Prophet ﷺ was made to see this. And he warned the companions of this. And they were the best of all of the people after the prophets and the messengers. And they were the most diligent in following the advice of the Prophet ﷺ. And yet they themselves, many, many times, they actually, when it came to these trials and tribulations happening, they did not remember the hadith, and they ended up in much difficulty. And many of the scholars say that this event that was foretold by the Prophet ﷺ happened during the Battle of the Camel and the Battle of Siffin, both of which I have spoken about in a previous series on lessons from Islamic history. We spoke about the Battle of the Camel, the Battle of Siffin, and the events that happened during those battles and trials and tribulations the companions went through, and that the companions, because of the plots of the munafiqeen, ended up trying to kill one another, fighting against one another, raised their swords against one another. Each one did so for the sake of Allah, believing that what they were doing was completely right. But there's no doubt that it was a fitna, was a trial. And it's enough of a trial that one of the companions or two of the companions be killed, let alone hundreds of the companions be killed. This is enough of a trial for us. They were the great scholars of this ummah, the great practitioners of Islam, and many, many, many of them were killed during these trials and tribulations that happened at the time of the Battle of the Camel and the Battle of Siffin between Ali bin Abi Talib radiallahu ta'ala anhu and the faction who took the opinion of Muawiyah radiallahu anhu and that of Aisha radiallahu anha. And indeed all of those companions, what they did was praiseworthy, and what they did was the best that they could do under the circumstances. And all of them were rewarded, insha'Allah, for their efforts. However, some of them were right and some of them were wrong. And we said that the ahadith indicate that the truth was with Ali radiallahu anhu. And so Ali radiallahu anhu was from those who made an effort and received two rewards, one for the effort and one for being right. And Muawiyah radiallahu anhu was from those who made an effort and received one reward, one for making the effort but without the reward for being right. And in any case, what happened was a trial. Many of the companions were killed, and they were put to trial by the munafiqeen, by the enemies of Islam. And so this hadith is foretelling what would happen. It is from the miracles of the Prophet ﷺ that he foretold these trials that would happen. But brothers and sisters, if this happened to the companions, then we should be in even greater need of preparing ourselves, getting ourselves ready for trials that are going to come. You think about some of the countries in the world today that are undergoing trials and tribulations. And to be honest, by the time you see this video, maybe there will be many more countries in Allahul Musta'an. And we seek Allah's help. Perhaps there will be many more countries that are being afflicted and there are wars and Muslims being killed all over the world. Just imagine you were living in that country 5 years before war broke out. What would one of those people say to you? Or what would you, if you were in that situation, say to other people? Prepare yourself. Wouldn't you wish that you had prayed in the masjid every day? Wouldn't you wish that you had got nearer to Allah, that you hadn't wasted your time in the dunya, that you hadn't given up Islam for the sake of money? Because when the fitna happens after that, you realize the value of Islam when trials and tribulations happen. So really we have to return to Allah Azza wa Jal. We have to take this as a lesson that trials are coming, that they will fall between the houses of our very neighbors, our very friends. And perhaps these trials might turn our brothers and sisters against us, Muslim against Muslim, like a civil war. And just at the time I'm making this video, this is happening in Allahul Musta'an, how many Muslim countries? And how many more might it be happening in by the time you see this video? And Allahul Musta'an, it is Allah's help that we seek. So subhanAllah, this is something of great concern to us. We need to prepare. We need to seek Allah's refuge. We need to get knowledge of what is going to happen. We need to ready ourselves and ready our children, because the signs of the hour are coming, and they are coming thick and fast. And I do not feel that it will be long before we see the major signs as the Prophet ﷺ indicated and as the Quran indicated to us. We spoke about the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ climbing on top of one of the battlements of Medina and saying, "Do you see what I see? Indeed, I see the places of trials and tribulations falling between your houses like the places where the raindrops fall." Now we want to cover a new hadith, and that is the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that he said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ستكون فتن. There will be trials. القاعد فيها خير من القائم والقائم فيها خير من الماشي والماشي فيها خير من الساعي من تشرف لها تستشرفه ومن وجد فيها ملجأ فليعذ به. The Prophet ﷺ said, there will be trials in which the one who is sitting is better than the one who is standing, and the one who is standing is better than the one who is walking, and the one who is walking is better than the one who is running. And whoever seeks involvement in them, they will encompass him and overcome him. And whoever finds a sanctuary, then let him seek refuge in it. This is another hadith of the trials and tribulations and the signs of the hour that will come before the end of time. The Prophet ﷺ said there will be so many trials. سَتَكُونُ فِتَنٌ. He didn't say fitna, one trial. There will be many trials. These trials will come prior to the end of time. In these trials, there will be people in different states, in different situations. And there are many wordings of this hadith which mention many different situations, and we'll come to them in a moment. But just to begin with this particular wording, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned people in 4 different states, in 4 different situations. One is al-qa'id, the one who is sitting down. One is al-qa'im, the one who is standing up. One is al-mashi, the one who is walking. And one is as-sa'i, the one who is running. And the Prophet ﷺ said that in the order we mentioned, the best of them is the sitting, and the standing one is better than the walking, and the walking one is better than the one who is running. So the worst of them is the one who is running, and the best of them is the one who is sitting. As for the one who is sitting, the scholars have different opinions about what that means. Some of the scholars said the one who is sitting is the one who is firmly not moving. i.e. these trials and tribulations come and the people gather with them and move with them in large numbers. But there are some people who are sitting down. They're not moving with the trials and tribulations. They're not getting caught up in them. Like the end of the hadith, the one who is caught up in them, it will catch them and take them and submerge them in this trial and tribulation. So we don't want to be caught up. So the best one is the one who is sitting firmly and is simply not moving at all. And some of the scholars said it is the one who is simply sitting and observing, aware of what is going on, but is not actually doing anything, or is not actually moving, is very firm, is not wishing to move anywhere or to go anywhere. What about the one who is qa'im? The one who is standing up is the one who has moved on just a little bit from that, and they are in a worse situation. They are prepared to move. They're prepared. They're ready to move. If they need to move, they're ready to move. And they are looking at the fitna in detail, keeping a close eye on what this trial is, what this problem is. Let me see, shall I go, shall I not go? At least let me stand up and get myself ready. So they're more likely to get involved than the one who is sitting down. Because the one who is sitting down, before he goes to even walk in the direction of the trial or tribulation or the sign that is happening, he has to stand up first. As for the one who is standing, they're ready. Shall I go left? Shall I go right? And it is said that the one who is standing, some of the scholars said it is the one who is mutaraddid, the one who is doubtful. Doesn't really know, should I go left? Should I go right? Should I get involved? Should I not get involved? As for the one who is qa'id, sitting down, this person knows, I'm not going to get involved. Don't even ask me. I'm not going left. I'm not going right. I'm staying right where I'm firm and I'm solid. I'm like a rock in a storm. Solid. However, as for the one who is qa'im, this is the one who is mutaraddid. Shall I go this way? Shall I go that way? Shall I join this group? Shall I join that group? I don't know. They're standing ready to move, but as of yet, they haven't moved anywhere. And al-mashi is the one who is walking. They haven't yet caught up to the trial. They're not yet involved in it, but they're walking along with it. And some of the scholars said this is the one who benefits from the trial and tribulation by maybe getting involved with them, but isn't part of their group. So maybe going along with them for trade, maybe going along with them in order to make some money, in order to sort of get a benefit for themselves, but is not really deeply engaged. And some of them said the one who is walking is the one who has an intention to join them, but hasn't joined them yet. Just walking along, trying to find them, going to try and catch up with them, but isn't yet really committed, isn't yet fully engaged. And then you have a sa'i, and a sa'i is the one who has entered into the tribulation, or the one who is very near to doing so, because they are running along with the crowd. They are just waiting to get an opportunity to be involved in the fitna. And Allah knows best if they have involved themselves or they are just about to, but in any case, they are dedicated, they are committed, and they are running towards it. And this hadith contains other wordings which give us a different variation in the numbers of people. Or from these variations that this hadith gives us in some other wordings is an-na'im. The sleeping one is better than the one who is muttaji'. Muttaji' means they are lying down but awake. Lying down but awake. And the one who is lying down but awake is better than the one who is sitting. And the one who is sitting is better than the one who is standing. And the one who is standing is better than the one who is walking. The one who is walking is better than the one who is running. And the one who is running is better than the one who is involved. This is the most complete sort of, if we take all of the wordings of the hadith and line them up together, we get this. So in some of that hadith, it's mentioned the one who is na'im, is sleeping. They're lying down. They're not getting up. They're not even sitting up. They're not even thinking of standing up. They're not even aware that the trial is going on. Completely oblivious, like the one who is sleeping. And then you have the one who is muttaji'. They are awake, so they're aware there's a trial, but they're not even going to sit up to have a look at it. They're just aware of it, conscious that it's going on, and conscious that they are completely away from it. And the one who is sitting has made a decision to sort of follow it closely. Maybe I'll make a decision, maybe I'll stand up after a while, and maybe I'll think about going this way or that way, and so on and so forth. And in this case, the one who is running is less than the one who is actually involved. So the one who is running to catch up, but hasn't yet become involved. And I think one of the greatest trials we have been afflicted with in our times are those people who push people away from the scholars and tell them that our scholars are not reliable and our scholars' information is not to be sought, and they are, not doing anything about the state of the ummah, etc. Listen to this hadith. This hadith refutes it. This hadith is from the strongest refutations in Sahih Muslim of those people who push people away from the scholars and say to them, get involved. Why does your heart not care about what's happening to the Muslims? Are you not concerned? The Prophet ﷺ said the sleeping one is better than the one who is awake. The one who is lying down awake is better than the one who is sitting, and the one who is sitting is better than the one who is standing. This hadith is a clear refutation of that call, and it's a big fitna, it's a big trial. Because towards the end of days, we know the Prophet ﷺ told us that people will take ignorant fools instead of scholars to teach them. And we seek Allah Azza wa Jal's help, and we seek Allah's refuge. حَتَّى إِذَا لَمْ يَتْرُكْ عَالِمًا, until when Allah Azza wa Jal will not leave a scholar for those people. اتَّخَذَ النَّاسِ رُؤَسَاء جُهَّالٍ, ignorant fools, ignorant people of leadership, imams and teachers, and they will ask them without knowledge. فَضَلُّوا وَأَضَلُّوا, so they will misguide themselves and others. The people we need to stick to are the reliable scholars in Islam, the major scholars in Islam, those people who are rocks in the sea at times of trials and tribulations, at times of storms. Solid, they don't move, they know what to tell you, and they guide you to the right way by the permission of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's all we have time for this time. But inshallah, we'll be back, and I'm sure this theme will keep with us throughout the series, inshallah. And until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.